This
What's up,
meeting
Nate?
is
How we
being
doing?
recorded.
What's going on, Jared?
Brother, good. I don't know how busy or how many people are going to jump on this week. Who knows? But we'll see.
Yeah.
Might surprise you.
True? Yeah. Yeah, we're not going to have a call tomorrow and the next day for obvious reasons. Still want to pick it up on on Thursday.
Yeah.
So you're gonna do it from Vegas?
To East 3900 North.
I'll have internet. It'll be fine.
I'm actually surprised I have internet. I'm over in Twin.
Oh, you're in Idaho. You're in Twins.
Over in Twin Falls.
Mm-hmm.
Driving as usual.
You're consistent, man. That's good.
I've always told you, if you want to make $1 million, you got to hang out with millionaires.
Facts. So how was the drive back and forth for the door knocking, Carl?
Oh, it was fine.
That's good.
Totally clear. Traffic was good. We got home about 8:30.
That's great.
On the way down, we stopped at our favorite burger joint and had a nice crown burger.
Nice. It's been a minute since I've had a crown burger.
It was well worth the drive.
You want to make me co-host?
Oh yeah. Thought I. Oh, maybe I didn't. There we go.
Sweet.
Thanks. Perfect. Awesome, guys. Well, let's dive right into it. I'm not sure how many people are going to be jumping on, like I was talking to Nate about before everyone else jumped on. But this holiday week, who knows? But we'll see. It'll be recorded, so it's good. All right. So I want to talk about the door knocking, but first let's go over what we had in the docket for was the finding buyers. Buyers are if the deal is really good, or if you have a good deal, finding buyers is the easiest part of this whole thing. If it's a little bit dicier of a deal, or it's more of a niche, like only certain kind of buyers going to want to have this, then it gets a little more challenging, right? But that the market's going to be your best teacher. So as you cultivate buyers and get them in, you don't need. One thing I do want to point out: you don't need 10,000 buyers to really run a successful wholesaling business. You don't need 20,000 buyers. You don't need any of that stuff. You really don't. You just need a couple that are really solid, consistent people that are buying your deals. That's all you really need. So in my buyers list currently right now, my active buyers, I've just over 700. That's it. And in fact, a couple of weeks ago, I was over 1,000, but then I removed close to 400 buyers from my list, quote unquote buyers. Now, why would I do that? If anyone can guess, but the thing is, when you're sending out emails out like a mass amount of emails all at once, the same email everywhere, if people are not opening your email or they're not reading your email, it actually comes up as spam when you're sending it to them. So it's important that people are actually opening and reading your email. Otherwise, it's just you can have a million followers, If it all goes to spam, it doesn't or not followers, but buyers, it doesn't mean anything. So if someone's not opening, not even opening, not just buying, but not opening my emails within like 6 months or 8 months or so, and I send them like crap ton of deals, and they haven't even opened a single email, they're out, they're gone, because they're actually hurting my business by not even opening the emails. Right. So I'll cultivate and I'll knock out a couple, depending on, just to get my open rate up, and so they can see my domain as a good, or the email as a good email, not just spam. So it's important to kind of cultivate. And I've had people where there's like tens of thousands, they have tens of thousands of buyers, and they'll come to me and ask for help finding a buyer. Right. And I've done the same with someone else. I've gone to like, hey, I need this is a unique deal. Help me find a buyer. That's not uncommon between wholesalers, but still, like that's the point. Like you don't need a gazillion buyers. That's my whole point of all this. You just need some really good ones. That's it. But you won't really know they're good until you're throwing deals out there and seeing if they're actually interested. So you're gonna have to kind of cultivate and build that on your own. But let's talk about, how do we find buyers? What ideas do we have out there? How do you guys find buyers? What do you think?
What I was looking at was posting to real estate groups that I close 5 deals a month. Is anybody interested? And see how many people start messaging me.
That's right. So that's the easiest, quickest way to do something like that, right? You can join every single Facebook group you possibly can that's in that area that you want to build your buyers list in, and to say, just like what Carl said, and even if you're not closing 3 or 4 deals a month, like I'm in with a group that we're closing 3 or 4 deals a month. Who wants to be in my buyers list? Or you don't even have to say how much you're doing. It's like, hey guys, I'm working on a bunch of creative financing deals, cash deals. I need who wants to be in my buyers list? I'm a wholesaler. And literally on active groups that are actually people that are looking, and you'll get hundreds, if not hundreds, emails just in that inbox. Right. So that's a great way to get quickly a bunch of emails, and it's pretty easy. It's pretty easy to build it all up.
What is it?
Go ahead. What was that, Sandra?
Oh, no, nothing. I didn't know
Oh.
I was on mute. Sorry about that.
Yeah, we all done that before.
I do virtual bandit sign.
What was that again, Jason? Virtual bandit sign?
Oh, yes.
So bandit signs, you'll get buyers, you're saying, right?
Yeah, I do virtual bandit signs, like
So
on Craigslist and stuff.
Oh, I see. So you go onto, so that's a good idea too. So you go on Craigslist and you make a listing, but it's just like, hey, if you guys are interested in off-market deals, send me your information, kind of thing, right?
Yeah, correct. And
Right,
Facebook
so
Marketplace and so on.
So it's anywhere that people would look for deals is a good place to do something like that. So if I'm glad you brought that up, Jason. It's really good. So if I'm looking for sale by owner, I'm going to Craigslist, I'm going to KSL, I'm going to Facebook Marketplace. You can create a listing in the house, and like you're selling a house, but it's like, cool. If you put it for like $1, it'll be on the very top too. And you can create a listing, and it just says what you're doing. This is I'm a wholesaler. If you guys are looking for properties like this, we come across them all the time. Give me your information, and then we'll connect you. Done. Easy. A lot of times when I first put out regular bandit signs, so if one of your ways of finding deals is using bandit signs, like We Buy Houses, a lot of time people will investors will see that, and then they'll call you and say, hey, add me to your wholesale list. So when I first put out, typically with Bandit signs, when I put out a whole slew of them, I don't get a ton of people calling me right away with, hey, yeah, buy my house. Like the first week, I'll get investors, and I'll get contractors calling me. Say, hey, oh, so you're buying houses? By the way, I'm a general contractor. Or I'm a handyman, blah, blah, blah. Here's my information. Okay, awesome. That's all good information. And then after that first week, then I start getting some people saying they want to sell their house. Because the guys will notice that, right?
With Bandit signs, you have to be careful what area you put it in, because some areas are illegal. Some cities don't allow that, so you can get in trouble for that. So just check where you're putting those before you send those out. So, yeah.
Yep. So with Bandit signs, every county or city should have their own. What's the word I'm looking for? They should have their own. My mind's drawing blank here. Their own rules, basically. I can't remember what it's called, but you can look that up online or even give them a call. Hey, what's the policy on putting Bandit signs and advertisements out on in whatever city? And some are like, no, never, or like, okay, you can do it in this area for X amount of time. All sorts of stuff. Oh, cool. Yeah, guys, check out Jason's. He put in the comments his little example of his virtual Bandit sign. I like that. And you can be getting people like even potential leads from that too for buying houses. I like that. Cool. Yeah. So when you're doing Bandit signs, you definitely want to make sure you're checking the rules, and I can go in. There's a lot of cool strategies with Bandit signs. I can go in more detail later, but yeah, that's a good way to get going as well with buyers. Another cool way of finding buyers, and I think I mentioned this before on our calls, but it's in talking to title companies. Because title companies, what do you think? Do they know who's closing deals or actually closing deals? If they give you someone's information, like or tell you to, hey, call this guy, or I'll yeah, this is the guy you want to talk to. Like those are the people you want to have conversations with and fill out. Like they're going to be the buyers, right? Because they're buying a couple deals a month. Like they're not tire kickers. The one thing with Facebook and going on the groups, it's great, it's phenomenal, but you will get more tire kickers than you will of any other than actual buyers. And that's okay. You got to start somewhere. But amongst those tire kickers, you'll get some real buyers as well. So don't let that just deter you from jumping on those Facebook groups and finding those buyers. But referrals from title companies is massive. Now, how should we handle if we're calling a title company and we're looking to get some referrals for buyers? What should that conversation look like? We kind of talked about similar stuff like this, but what do you guys think? How would you guys address that conversation or start that conversation? Crickets. You guys are too excited for Christmas still. Can't you think, huh? That's okay. Oh, seat's all funky.
I might just reach out and ask, like, I'm just trying to network with people that are active in real estate, and you know more people than I do. So just having a conversation that way, maybe.
Sure. Well, yeah. So when I'm part of like finding the right title company, like yes, I preach GT title and REI title, but what if it's in a different area? What if you want to find other really good title companies that you can do deals with, right? Not just these two that Jared's recommending. Having conversations with title companies, like it's the same way of finding a really good title company that works well with investors and with especially wholesalers, because there are a lot of just like agents. there are so many title companies that they hate working with investors. They hate working with wholesalers because it's more complicated. A lot of times, there's more things for them to do. Kind of sometimes because there's not necessarily a lot of loan documents depending on the transaction, other than like the hard money loans that's buying it. But there's more stuff. There's more layers to it, to say the least. And so some of us just rather just do cookie cutter, like open and shut. That's it, and that's it. That's all they want to do, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But we don't want to waste our time having conversations or sending deals with people that don't want to don't want to do those type of deals. You know, we don't. It's wasting our time. There's no point for it. So part of the conversation when we're vetting like a title company, one is like the first start of the conversation is what's in it for them, right? That's how we always want to. That's our entire mindset. That's what we want to do. What's in it for them? So what's in it for them? What's in it for them is like, so I'm a wholesaler, or I'm a investor. I'm a wholesaler. I'm just looking to network and get with bring more deals to the table. Like we're planning to close 3 or 4 deals a month, and I would love to bring them to your title company. Love to see what I can do to help and build this relationship. So instantly, it's all about, okay, I'm going to bring deals to you. That's what we're talking about. And then you ask like simple questions. It's like, do you like working with investors? Do you guys do wholesale transactions? How do you feel about working with wholesalers? How do you feel about investors? And if their answer isn't like, oh yeah, we work with wholesalers all the time. We just closed 3 last week. Oh, sweet, awesome. Okay, that's the person I want to talk to. Or if they're like, well, I closed, yeah, we did 1 last month. All right, we were able to get things done. Like I don't want to talk to you. It's okay. We'll just move on. But so now we vetted to see if they're even a good title company for us to work with, just in general, and let them know like, hey, listen, I'm actually looking to increase my buyers list. I got some deals coming in the pipeline. Who do you think comes to mind when you think of people that are typically buying deals pretty consistently, that are coming through your title company? Who comes to mind? So who comes to mind when buying deals in your property, or they're consistently buying deals? And do you think if you can give me an introduction, because I have some deals that are in the works, I'd love to send them his way, and then if we end up doing anything together, we'd love to bring this deal, many more, to your title company. So again, it's all about like, what's in it for them? How can I show that, okay, if you give me some leads, he ends up, and this buyer buys my deals, yeah, we're going to close with you, and rightfully so, you should. So if you're talking to them and showing that it's just value, if you're not all about, I need buyers, I need give me some help or whatever, me, I want to do a ton of deals because I want some money. But instead, when you're about like, I want to send a ton of deals your way, I want you to get your commissions, I want you to get your fees. It's dramatic how the difference of the mindset and how much they're willing to help you as well. Oh, did I do that? Oh, I don't know why I must have just fat fingered something. Anyways, that's a good start, right? So now we have title companies, so other professionals too that are just like closing deals, right? Title companies. What about hard money lenders? Do they know who's closing deals and they're actually really good? So you can reach out to hard money lenders and say, listen, I'm hey Matt Strong. Hey Matt, how's it going, man? Good to meet you. Jared speaks a lot of good things about you. I'm just wondering, like I'm getting involved into wholesaling. We're with a group. We're doing, looks like we're gonna do quite a few a month, and we have a lot of the pipeline. Do you, I'm looking to see what I can do to get more buyers and people that use hard money are normally awesome buyers. What investors actually use you a ton that I can start sending some deals to? and so they can get some more transactions for you. So hard money lenders will one, you're building that relationship, you're having better conversations. So when you do want to use them or start actually like, yeah, cool, awesome. This deal I'm not going to wholesale, but I'm going to keep it myself. Let me call Matt. We already had a conversation. We already, we started building that relationship. So hard money lenders is another good way. So you're looking at like other people that are in the industry that are looking to buy, like or that are in this, they're doing stuff within it, like they know who the buyers are, and most of them like, oh sure, yeah, let me send them their information. Cool, awesome.
Hey, Jared.
Yes.
I came on a little bit late. I don't know if you covered this, but you talked about leveraging real estate agents. But if you're doing a wholesale transaction, you don't really use an agent on that. So how is that beneficial for them?
Right. So I wasn't talking about agents, but that was something I was talking about the title companies. However,
oh, is this just a title call? Okay.
However, that's also my list of finding buyers, is having agents bring you a buyer. Now, how does that work? Like, to answer your question, right? Because if most of our transactions are going to be off market for the vast majority of our transactions, not all of them, but most. So how do we do that? So how does an agent still get paid and without having to dip into our funds? And it's very common. Like when you see like email blasts, they'll almost every single email blast as far as like a wholesale deal that gets sent to you when you're on a wholesaler list. Anyone that's worth their salt knows what they're doing. They'll mention something about agents and agents just add your fee on top. So agents will absolutely are phenomenal because they already have some buyers in mind potentially, if they're any good, I should say, right? If they're working with investors, if they're doing a lot of that stuff, then yeah, absolutely, they're raring to go, right? So, and whatever it is, so if I'm going to make like 20,000 on this deal, and I'm going to wholesale it at 230 or whatever, then the agents can be like, yeah, you're basically going to get this for 240, and she's going to get her 10,000 or whatever the amount's going to be that she wants to put in there, he or she. So it's just,
so you put your fee on it, and then they'll put their fee on it, and buyer will pay all those fees. Gotcha.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. Yep. Yeah, and it's common. It's not like if an agent is bringing a deal from a wholesaler, and if this is not your first rodeo, you're not surprised. It's a standard. It's a industry standard, at least here locally, right? So yeah, talking with agents is another great way to start finding buyers, especially agents that are working with investors. Because we did talk about, like in my classes in the classroom, finding deals through agents. It's another way of doing it. Look, finding their pocket listings, finding all of that stuff, right? So when they have a deal, they want to send it to you, right? And even part of the conversation when you're talking to agents is like, hey, listen, when I do come up with some deals, because I'm a wholesaler, when I may end up needing some help finding a buyer, can I send my deals to you, and you can check your buyers and see if they're interested? Like, oh, awesome, yeah, here's your email. That awesome, you're on the list. Cool. So that's a great way. Yeah, I've had agents bring me buyers before, and that's not a problem. Okay. So agents, hard money lenders, title companies, those are great ways to kind of start. Also, other buyers that you're dealing with. So if you're starting the business, you got some, maybe someone's going back and forth. So we have this deal, and no one's really like they're not jumping in it. They're or whatever. Maybe people are interested but just haven't quite pulled the trigger. Another thing you can do is when someone says, yeah, no thanks, I'm not really interested in it. It's not my buy box. I looked at it, but it doesn't make sense. Simple question of just like the same mindset of I'm leaving here with something like, oh, do you know anyone else that might be interested in this deal? Oh, well, sure, yeah, actually, I might know somebody. So other buyers are a great way to find, because guess what? We network with everyone, right? They're going to the network. Anyone that's actually doing deals, right? They're going to network events. They're communicating. They have their buddies that are like, oh yeah, this Jenny over here, she does a ton of deals. Yeah, I think this might be something that she'd be interested in. Or like, this is not the area I don't want to deal in Provo, but I have my friend Josh that does. Let me send him this and I'll let him know. Like, okay, cool. Yeah, if you want to, I can email it to him directly if you like. Then you get Josh's information. Now you get another buyer. Is this making sense? Are we clear as mud? Clear as mud. Got it. Okay.
Yes.
Cool. All right. Thank you, John. See, I'm glad one person understands. So that's good. Another one is partnering with other wholesalers. As you're building up your networking, your people, your Rolodex, as I call it, like your go-to people that you're looking for. If you're having you're having a hard time finding a buyer for a certain deal, or you're just starting out, so it's totally like I said towards the beginning of this call, like I partner with other wholesalers all the time. They'll send me a deal, or once in a while I'll send them like, hey, I'm having a hard time finding this buyer. Can you help me? You send it out to your list. So having other wholesalers which you can partner with and start doing transactions and just like sending them deals, like zero problems with that. Now, how you structure that's a whole other thing. One way to structure it is just like, just anything above my price point, it's yours. It's no problem. Like, I just want, if I can get my 15, I'm happy. If you can get to that price point, awesome. I don't really like doing that way because then they're going to blast it to their buyers, but it's like $10,000 above your price. So less people are going to be interested in it. And also they're seeing like, wait, because a lot of the buyers, if you're working with other wholesalers, right, there's a lot of cross contamination, not contamination, but there's a lot of people that are on my buyers list and they're going to be on Jenny's buyers list and Sandra's buyers list. And there's going to be people that are going to be on multiple buyers lists because I get wholesalers send me deals all the time because there's been deals I've bought from wholesalers. So there's absolutely zero wrong with that. But if they're on my wholesale list and they're on Nate's wholesale list, and then they send out the deal that's like that I send out, and then it's like, oh wait, well, it always feels fishy when two different wholesalers send you a deal, right? So it's like, okay, so who really has the contract then? What's going on? So what I like to do is like let's say the same price, and in our email blast says I'll put something in there in the blast. I'm working with another wholesaler, but if you see it from me, just reach out to me because I love you. You guys may have seen that some of my emails I sent out. So it's let him know that I am working with another wholesaler, and this other person's not just trying to daisy chain it. Does that make sense, guys? So at that point, it's like, okay, cool. If you find me a buyer, you're going to get 40%, 30% of the wholesale fee. Cool, awesome. Let's do this. And so they're incentivized anything above the price that you're looking for. Obviously, they're going to make more too. But it's going to be consistent information across the board. Buyers are going to be knowing that they're going to. So it's not necessarily a way to build your buyer list. Like you'll probably get that one person that buys it, you'll probably get their information, but the wholesaler's probably they're not going to give you their list so you can blast it out. If you're doing like a partnership like that, right? That's something that they cultivated over the time and built. But it's definitely a way to start getting some deals or getting some buyers out there. So partnerships is a phenomenal, great way to go. Especially if you're just very beginning and just starting out, like building the list, that's totally fine. Wholesalers. Yep. Cool. Depending how much money you want to throw at it, you could even put in like ads and things like that out there for other investors too, if you really want to. But I really don't think it's necessary, especially when you're just kind of local market. But you definitely can think about doing ads. Just point out that my company comes across a bunch of deals. Just want to hear about it. Click the link and fill this information. Boom. If you want to throw money at it to build your buyers list, go ahead. I think it'd probably be better to throw that money if you're having money to throw in ads, like throw in ads trying to find a seller, to be honest. That's going to save you a lot more time. Because like I said, if the deal's good enough, it's not gonna be hard finding a buyer. Even if you just went to Facebook and started to post about stuff. Usually depending on the deal and kind of what the terms are and things like that, I'll continue to make posts on social media about the deals that I'm sending out. Not all of them, but I'll do it once in a while, and I'll usually gain another 30 or so buyers by doing that. Like, and if you're going to post about a specific deal online, guys, you gotta be very careful. You can't post any pictures, and you want to post about, hey, I got this deal in this city. Subject to, you can say, for the percent, under $200,000 purchase price or whatever it is, or under $400,000 purchase price in this city. Let me know if you're interested. And people can start sending information, they'll start blasting it out, right? Or they'll start commenting on it, right? So Taylor asks, why don't you post pictures? Because you are not advertising a property, you are advertising your rights to buy that property. Because if you're advertising a property that you don't own to sell, you are acting as if you're a realtor, and you're not. If you're not, so you can get yourself in trouble. One, okay, and there's a couple reasons why you don't want to post specific information about any deal, even if you have a gazillion buyers. It doesn't matter. You don't want to post very specific information, just on social media specifically. Okay. One, if depending on the buyers, because again, I will never hide anything from the buyers, but I don't volunteer information either. So if I've had it where before I even got under contract, so there was this guy that I was helping getting started, and I didn't tell him not to post anything. I didn't tell him to do. Let me rephrase this. I was telling him, like, hey, so great, you can start building your buyers list. So start posting XYZ. Or start posting about it, and then you can start building, or posting that you have a deal. No, what was it? No, I don't think I told him to post that actually. No, I didn't, because I would have said something. Okay. Anyways, I was like, so we let me back up. Sorry, I'm butchering the story. So we're just about getting this deal under contract. The seller, we had a bunch of verbal agreements. I was writing up the contract, sending it over. So we're waiting for him to sign the agreements, getting things going, because he was working that day, and that night when he gets home, he was going to be sign everything, right? So this guy he posted, he got really excited because it was like one of his first deals, and he put it into a bunch of real estate investing groups that he has this deal at this address. He did all the numbers, everything, like the specific amount, the address. And guess who do you think saw that? Who do you think saw that post?
Seller.
The seller, yeah. So the seller saw that post, and like, well, what's going on? Well, I mean, you're selling for a lot higher. Like, oh yeah, so we had the conversation. Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely an option that we're looking at, and we probably end up wholesaling this deal, but nothing will change for you. So I had to let him know going on. But the thing is, like, if they ask me about, are you guys going to wholesale this thing or what's going on, then it comes up. But it's when they find out without you telling them, then that gets a little bit dicey. Does that make sense? So them knowing that you're wholesaling is not a problem, but if they find it like through a third party or like a different way other than you saying, then it gets a little. You can understand the investor, the buyer would be a little bit like, what are you guys doing? What's going on? So I had to save that deal, but which I was just fine. I was like, man, don't post even after you have it under contract, because it wasn't even under contract, which opens it up for if you're posting specific information about a deal, and it opens up for other investors to go behind your back. I currently have a deal right now that there was a guy that tried to go behind my back, mine and my partners, and try to get the deal. Like, oh, we'll offer you a little more. It was less than we were offering, which is like interesting, but whatever. But yeah, that does happen. I think if the vast majority of people don't do that, but it can happen. So don't open yourself up. So if you're posting about specific deals in social media, you can be vague about it, city, what kind of deal, what the structure is, and then on a one-to-one basis, then you can give more information out. Does that make sense, guys?
Yep.
Okay. What questions do you guys have on finding buyers now?
Okay, Jared, once you
Yeah.
find a buyer
Yeah.
that is interested on the property,
Mm-hmm.
and you have 6 to 10 days, maybe 15 days for a closing.
Yeah.
How do you buy your assurance that that buyer is actually going to close on you, and you're not going to lose time
Mm-hmm.
if
So
he
you
backs up on the due diligence?
right. Okay. So gotcha. Now this is something I had to bite my tongue the other day when I was on Thursday night. Any wholesaler worth their salt will ask for a non-refundable deposit, earnest money. If you're looking at and this is so guys, if even if you're looking at a wholesale deal, and you need to demand this from your buyers, and this is the industry standard, by the way. It's very common. It's actually uncommon for someone to give for having earnest money being refundable for any wholesalers. That's kind of weird from a wholesaler standpoint. Okay. Now, if I'm putting earnest money down in a deal that I'm not buying through a wholesaler, yeah, I have that time, I have that due diligence time where I can pull out, cancel the deal, whatever. But the earnest money that they put down, so my typical non-refundable amount is 5,000. Some people do 10, some people 7, depends on the transaction. But my typical is 5,000. So when someone wants to put in an offer on my property and they're asking about due diligence, I'm like, you need to do all your due diligence before you submit your offer, because once it's accepted, we sign the paperwork. That's when the non-refundable is due. So take the time that you need to make sure this deal makes sense for you. I'm not guaranteeing the deal will be ready for you when you do all your due diligence, because I got 3 other guys that are looking at it. But take the time that you need. If you need to get a contractor in there, you need your inspection or whatever, sure, awesome. I'll make sure you have access to the property so you can do all that stuff. You need to get your agent to run your CMAs. That's a great idea. I'd recommend that. And I tell people this too, like even my deal, don't trust a wholesaler's numbers ever. Even if it's my deal you're looking at, don't trust my numbers. One, a lot of the wholesalers they're newer, so they don't really understand how much it costs them to do a rehab. And they're watching a lot of like YouTube videos, so you get a lot of those shenanigans out there. But for the most part, it's you don't want to trust. Even so, for myself, that's done a ton of flips, then all the wholesales, I'm basing off of my numbers what it would cost me to do this flip on doing hard money and the private money. So maybe if Sandra's looking at a deal that I'm looking at, her contractors might charge a little more. Maybe she's using Brock, which is I love Brock to death, and I love his business; it's phenomenal. But there's a premium on that too, because rightfully so, he deserves it. There's a premium on his service, like an extra $10,000, so his rehab cost might be a little bit higher, but it's gonna be real close to what he's saying, right? Versus other contractors, where there varies when it comes down to it. So if you're using a GC versus doing handyman and managing yourself, that's going to vary part of the costs. And maybe you have a really good deal with a contractor and they're able to get into it, so it does make a huge difference as far as the numbers wise. So never trust a wholesaler's numbers, even in mine, whatever. But all the due diligence has to happen before they put the earnest money. So to answer your question, is if someone is ready to make an offer, like, great, I need a non-refundable, and it's in the assignment agreement. There's going to be an X amount non-refundable. And so I have yet to see anyone put down the non-refundable that did not want to close, that did not perform. And why is that really important? Because guess what? Because the same reason why you're like only have 15 days to close, how do I make sure that this seller actually performs versus not? Because what if it's like a foreclosure that like they have, if they don't close on your closing date, the auction is like 2 days later, they're screwed. And I've learned this the hard way. So let me tell you a quick little story, and I'll chime in with your question, Carl, in just a second. One of my first wholesale transactions, I didn't require a non-refundable. Actually, I think I was actually asking for a non-refundable, but so I sent out this deal, and I had these younger guys, and they were like, "Yeah, we want this deal. It's awesome. It's perfect. Let's tell everyone it's sold." I was like, "Cool, awesome, love it." And then I was like, "Let me send you the paperwork. Deposit the earnest money to the title company, ready to go." And I sent and I told everyone. People were still asking about this deal. I was like, "Hey guys, already got a buyer. Sorry. Good luck next time." Oh, Nate gave a good example too for a post scroll moment. But so the deal's already done. Like, sorry, no, it's taken. And but these guys have done like send the paperwork. So yes, you get that signed. Yes, we're just doing one excuse after another. They end up never even signing the paperwork. They never deposit any earnest money, and they basically killed like 5 days of the time we had, and didn't have a ton of time left over. I had like three other days before closing. So because I was like, yeah, if I didn't because I allowed them to, go by their word and not by actual what signed documents and putting money where your mouth is, I almost lost that deal. But fortunately, I was able to reach out and call the people that were interested, and then actually Wanda Cottasquillo, she's the one that actually bought it for me, which is funny. I love Wanda, she's awesome. So Wanda was actually, oh yeah, I won it. Matt Strong actually funded it, or maybe it doesn't matter. But yeah, so again, because of that, because that's not done, I mean, I only had a short period of time to do it, and it's not just the wholesaler that's going to be out money if the buyer does not perform. It's the seller too, because if they're depending on us as wholesalers to perform, to buy the property what we said to, and if we can't do that, then if they're about to lose their home, they could have gone with someone else. They could have done some other options, and so it really puts them in a very bad position. Not just us as wholesalers, but the buyer or the seller themselves. So asking for a non-refundable isn't just like a selfish, I want to get this done. It's assuring people they're going to close, and it's also making sure that seller is going to be taken care of. A lot of times, with wholesale deals too, how much money did you spend on your ads, or how much money did you spend on? There was time I was putting in $10,000 in marketing every single month in wholesaling. $10,000, right? And obviously I got more money back, but if I'm putting all that money in and I got a bunch of buyers that just didn't perform, what if that money is just gone, that resources? What if you not put in money, but you put in hours and hours, you made 600 phone calls a day, and you were just grinding out, and all of that work was for naught because a buyer got cold feet and couldn't perform. So I know there's other people that are in the community that say never do non-refundable, never. I mean, like really harp on that, and I really bit my tongue off. But to be God's honest truth, if you're looking at a deal with a wholesaler like that, you're going to pay a non-refundable. Just make sure you're happy with the deal before you pay a non-refundable. Don't be like, oh, I got to do my research. No, all the research needs to be done before that. And same with your buyers. You need to tell your buyers that too, because like if they haven't bought a deal from a wholesaler, because if I get that kind of feel that they haven't really, they're like, okay, so how does this whole thing work? Okay, so have you bought a deal from a wholesaler before? No. Okay, no problem. This is what it is. I'm just assigning my rights to this contract, have it under contract, and we're going to do an assignment agreement between you and me. And in that agreement, it says you're buying it at the offer you gave me, and you're going to give a non-refundable of $5,000 to the title company within by today. Let's say whatever it is, right? So they need to get it in there. So I need to get the receipt of your wire today, right after you sign this document. If you don't sign this document, then it's still available for anyone else, so it doesn't matter. Or I mean, I don't say the property is sold until I actually have money in hand or receipt in hand. that the product was that the seller or the buyer, excuse me, deposited a non-refundable. Does that make sense, Joel?
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
So the second part of the question is, when you have that not refundable,
Mhm.
do you share it with the homeowner?
Well, the only way that I would share it with the homeowner is the earnest money that I put down. That'd be the only way. So if I put in $500 earnest money or $1,000 earnest money, whatever it is, then and if I'm asking for a $5,000 non-refundable, because that non-refundable goes towards the purchase, just like any other earnest money. It's part of the purchase, right? So that money is, but basically it's basically your wholesale or portion of your wholesale fee, right? But for the end buyer, yeah, because the seller's going to get their ideally, like if someone doesn't perform, is basically what you're asking, do I share it with the seller if they don't perform? And is that the scenario you're talking about, or just in general, like even if they
Yeah,
do
yeah,
close?
that scenario. Let's say the case that you just mentioned before. You you sign a contract with someone that
Mhm.
didn't perform,
Yep.
and is backing up and is canceled the contract on due diligence or whatever, or didn't find the funds,
Okay. Yep.
and then the homeowner only has 2 days to auction, let's say.
Right.
So the homeowner is already in the precarious situation because that your potential buyer didn't perform.
Yeah.
So at that point, let's say that you got your not refundable deposit of $5,000, $10,000, whatever.
Yep.
Would you actually share some of that not refundable with the buyer? That was my question. Because the one that gets affected was the buyer, and not the buyer. Sorry, the
Absolutely.
seller. The
Right.
seller, the homeowner.
And also you too, you put your time into this, regardless, even if you didn't put any money into it, but you put your time into it. And so you
Yeah.
need something as well. Right. So it's really up to you what you want to do. The minimum, like whatever your earnest money was, like I can put down the earnest money from the original purchase contract. It does not have to be the same amount as your non-refundable with the buyer. Okay. I mean,
Right.
it's very rare that actually are the same. If anything, you want to make sure that the non-refundable is higher than the earnest money you put down with the seller, right? So if my typical earnest money, I'll put in there $500, maybe $1,000, sometimes a lot less. It really kind of varies, but minimum they're going to get that amount. And if it was a scenario where like they actually were, I couldn't, because the guy that person just killed all my time. They maybe they couldn't get the funds, or like, oh wait, actually this is gonna be a deal loser. I'd rather lose 5,000 than lose 50,000 down the road if I bought this. Like, okay, I get it, I respect it. Cool. So it depends. If you're like, okay, now this person's gonna lose their home anyways. Yeah, here's an extra grand, here's an extra 2,000, whatever, right? In addition to your earned money, you can totally do that. I think there's no problem with that. Like a consolation prize, like I know I don't have to do this, but I understand your situation. I feel for you. Here's some money. So yeah, it's whatever you want to do at that point, because at least they're entitled to the earnest money at that point. And even then, you could still cancel the contract before it even closes. Like, let's just say that buyer pulls out 2 days before closing, and if you're using my agreements, my contracts, I can cancel the day of closing and still not have to pay the earnest money. But if it's like if you got non-refundable, I mean, you probably give some to the seller, because you still, you wasted, not necessarily, yeah, you spent their time as well. They could have looked at other options, and it's unfortunate that buyer didn't perform, and so you're kind of stuck. You got screwed by that buyer that didn't perform. They didn't close. So yeah, I would suggest at least give them the earnest money, and then if you want to do a little more, that's totally entirely up to you. Depends on the situation. But most of the time, like, you can get extensions. It's like when it's like, oh man, what's going to go to auction, then it's like, okay, there's no way the heck they can do extension, or whatever their circumstances may be. If they know, they'll have time to, like, okay, yeah, sorry, I had my investor with me, he was going to do it, but then he backed out the last minute. Now we got kind of screwed. Are we good? I mean, I'm confident some other guys are interested. They need to do some more, move their parts to be a partner in this deal. Can we push this back another week? You know, a lot of times having that conversation with the seller can fix that too. Okay, Carl, you had your hand up for a minute. So what's up?
Now, what if you're dealing with different levels of houses? Like you have Walmart houses and then you have Nordstrom houses. Would you be looking at different buyers and advertising for different types of buyers?
No, absolutely. So you can, it depends how you want to do it. You can categorize your buyers in different lists if you want, whether it's an Excel or however you want to do it. You can categorize your buyers in whole different ways. Excuse me. Whether it's like, okay, here are all my Ogden buyers. Cool. And then if you have an Ogden deal, then you're sending deals out just to them if you want. I don't necessarily think that you want to do something exactly like that. If I would email blast them all, because sometimes like the profit, like if I'm a Nordstrom buyer, but then I see this Walmart style property and it's like close to my house, it's actually the profit margin is really good. Even though I'm a Nordstrom kind of investor, oh, that's a pretty good deal. I'm actually gonna jump on that right now, or maybe I have a rental next to it or whatever. So it's like, oh, it's not my normal buy box, but it's convenient for me. I'm gonna do that. So you don't want to like turn off of those buyers. That's like, oh yeah, I almost always buy in Weber County. You sent me this Twilla deal. I'm actually doing a project out there. That's actually it's kind of perfect, or whatever it is, right? So in that scenario, I would still blast it out to all my buyers. However, I would make personal phone calls or text messages to the people that I know that do deals in that area. So I'd reach out, hey, did you see that deal I just sent out in Twilla? Sent all my Twilla buyers or wherever, right? So it is a good idea to kind of a good understanding of where your buyers like to buy. You know, I mean, a lot of times because if you're just getting them on social media, it's just like you just get an email, right? And that's fine. I mean, you don't really need much more than that. But as you're throwing out deals, then you start having conversations. You start to know these buyers that are talking. You ask them like, oh, so where do you like to buy? What else you got going on? You know, you should have these type of conversations with the buyers, especially if they're I want to go look and talk to. I want to look at your deal. Cool, awesome. I mean, do you do a lot of and you just have a text message or whatever, however you're doing? Like, yeah, that's awesome, man. Great. This is the code number. That's how you do it. Blah blah blah. Yeah, you can definitely do that. Great question, Carl.
Well, and a comment when you're dealing with your due diligence. Let's say you have a house that is in kind of an area where it could be a Nordstrom house or it could be a Target house, but you do your diligence at more of a Target level for an remodel, but the person you're selling to wants to do a Nordstrom. So your numbers are going to be way off from theirs.
Sure. Absolutely. Yep. Because people can definitely over rehab. You're not really going to see that too much of like Nordstrom and Walmart. You'll see a lot of crossover from Target and Walmart. Usually Nordstrom is like Nordstrom. Like those are super nice areas, right? And sometimes
like the stuff that we were looking at this weekend.
Yep.
Yeah, that's either Nordstrom or above.
Right. Exactly. Right. So those are like you're in 900 ARV up. Like those are 100% Nordstrom or 800, 700 depending on the area. So absolutely 100%. Perfect. Okay. Yeah. So let's check the comments real quick. All right, Claudia. One time, Dane and I had to cancel a property from a wholesaler. He had to return the 5K because he went out too far for the comps. Okay, and so he in that scenario, he returned your 5,000. So that, and here's the thing, guys. Let's say you're about to buy a deal from a wholesaler, and you put your 5,000 non-refundable. Can you ask them to return it if you don't want to do the deal? I'm
sure you can ask. Doesn't mean that he's forced to do it.
Right, exactly. But having a conversation, 100%. So I'm sure Claudia, when she had that deal with the comps were way off, if they were giving, especially if they're giving really intentionally bad information, then you can kind of like, hey, dude, like you said this, this, and this, you're way off. You know what I mean? Although, again, never trust it. People can't say that to me because I tell them like, don't trust my numbers. Like you ran your numbers, right? You ran your own comps. Great. Okay, you're not just looking at my email. Cool, awesome. Because then they can't come at me like that. But yeah, if it's another thing too, other reasons. So you can ask them for like, hey, this is some challenges. It's and if it's not like I couldn't find the money, I mean, they'll probably be less sympathetic. But if it's like, hey, there's this problem, this problem, this problem, we didn't even know about that. You didn't tell us anything about this. We find out after, and they have the right to say, as long as they're being truthful the whole time, like, yeah, I didn't know either, but I mean, I still got to close on this deal. I could try and renegotiate with the seller to reduce the price to make it make sense. That happens too. Like I've had buyers get like send that non-refundable, and then before closing, like, hey guys, we need to get a lower price. Oh, okay, gotcha. Let me talk to the seller, see what I can do, and we can renegotiate. That's not a problem. Worst case scenario, they say no, and you're in the same situation, but they come down 10, 20, 30,000. Great, the buyer's happy, and sometimes that can even increase your wholesale fee, depending on how that kind of structures out. Like they needed a 20,000 haircut, and you were able to get 30,000. Great, I just made 10 more thousand because I got you your 30,000 or your 20,000. Cool, my wholesale fee just went up 10. You know what I mean? So you can definitely do stuff like that. I had a deal in Ogden where it came back as really, really high in meth, and the guy, and he just told me like, yeah, it's a little tight, man. Like we're gonna have to put that we're gonna have to do this, this, and this. And like, okay, cool, I feel you. I'm gonna come down to my because the guy would not come down any further for the negotiation wise. So actually, I took we had a conversation. I took less of a wholesale fee to help him out. Like, okay, great, appreciate that. So you can negotiate with your wholesaler and be open. They can talk to you and don't let their sob story make you lose money. If it's legit, then it's legit, right? But yeah, absolutely. So you can talk to them and ask for not to get the money back if possible, right? Another thing is too, like one thing that would be like, because in the agreement it's like the non-refundable, but the wholesalers saying that, hey, the title's actually it's this. Like if they're branded at 500,000, but there's actually 600,000 worth of debt on the property. Like you can't do that. I mean, because most assignments will be like you have to have a clean title, or at least they already know what's on title or what's on. So there are ways to get back the non-refundable. That is definitely a scenario where that kind of happens, right?
Hey Jared, and that wholesaler later he called me and he said, "Thank you so much. Yeah, you're right." So he recognized his mistake. He went out because Dane told me, "I hope he will return," because one time he said I didn't get my money back, but so we were just for a long time, Dane and I talking, and then but that wholesaler said, "I'm sorry, I've learned my lesson," and yeah, so. And so you're right. Like, do your numbers. Don't just trust them.
Yeah.
Even I had some wholesalers. They said just do your numbers before you go to the property. But sometimes you have to go to the property to look at it to see where's the house and just.
They're saying they want they want an offer right then and there or something or what?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, and but Dane, Dane he did his. His comp saying he said, Claudia, this is, this comp is wrong. And that's how I went back to him and I said, listen, my hard money is saying that this is, it's not correct comps. And he said, no. And so he later recognized and he said, yeah, I'm sorry. I guess I went a little further. It was in Bountiful. He went more east and the house was not, the comps that he used, it was not close. He was like a few miles off.
Yeah.
And so, but
a few miles off from his comps.
Yeah. He went more east, but the house is more on the, on the valley. And so, yeah. And so, but Dane is really good at,
right.
Yeah. So Dane, he's really, really good at that. And so we just said, no, yeah, he told me, I hope you'll get your 5,000. He's got to, because it's not my fault that he went more. It's his fault. But Yeah, but and there's another one too. You know, he doesn't really like you to go and see his properties. He said, no, you have to make a decision now. No, I have to go see it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, yeah, I've got to do my numbers. I gotta make sure where.
Exactly. And if
Yeah.
any wholesaler is trying to have you give them an offer before you've even seen it and non-refundable. Oh yeah, Nate was telling me a story. Someone was like trying to wholesale you a deal, right? And then they didn't want to give you the address before you give them an offer. Is that
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, they wouldn't even tell me where the house is at or anything. I was like, how do you expect me to put an offer on a house I don't even know what the heck it is? Like,
Exactly. Those are YouTube guru guys. Those are YouTube university people. Okay, I tell you what. Or just straight up dishonest people. One of the two. I assume ignorance over malice for the most part, but it's so if anyone it's as you're buying from a wholesaler, it's like, yeah, we want to, if they're trying to push like, oh, give me an offer before you even see it, or there are rare circumstances that they're, I don't know, in general, right? Maybe there's some really weird situations where, I don't know. Anyways, and if you do want to put an offer in when you haven't seen it, just assume it's a complete gut job. So the only surprise you're going to get after you run your numbers is, oops, I made more money. Because like, oh, okay, great. I thought I was going to put 100,000. This looks like we're going to put 60. Cool. That added 40,000 to my profit. So run the numbers as if that is the case, right? But yeah, and as wholesalers, we need to set a clear lay of the land to the buyers, because not every buyer is going to be experienced. This could be the first time they're buying from a wholesale deal is with you. We're explaining them the whole process and how this works, so they're not caught, because like, oh yeah, great, I'll put my 5,000, and maybe that they didn't even think it was like non-refundable, or they didn't realize that this was the scenario, right? So yeah, you got to let the buyers know what's going on, how this works. This is the expectations, and like don't trust my number. And I tell you, like, yeah, make sure you run your numbers. You know, mine are just estimates. I want you to find out what it's actually gonna cost you, and that money is non-refundable. You know, and that this is the reason why. You know, because if it's gonna really screw the seller if we cannot get this thing closed, and have other people that are interested in it. So yeah, 100%. Okay, Jenny, what's up?
I don't know if you covered this in the earlier class, but if we're presenting, hold on, let me go to a quieter place. If we're presenting to a flipper, and we want to present the numbers, do you put together a pro forma or some kind of simple sheet to present those numbers? Or do you are you going to go over that? How to write that? How you write that up?
So on Friday, that's what that was like the call is going to go over exactly that pitch your deal.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
So we'll discuss that in specific, and I actually have I created a chat GPT where you put in the information and it'll create an email blast for you, or at least a template with that particular deal and everything that you typically would want to include, which only people in the games have access to. So you just put in the information of the house, and then it'll shoot out a little template of the email blast you can do. AI is awesome. Okay. All right. What other questions do we have? We're at noon now, so no call tomorrow. Obviously, no call next day. We'll pick it up on Thursday.
Thanks, Jared. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to y'all. Yeah. Hope you guys have an awesome Christmas.
Even though you're going to be in Vegas on Thursday, they're still getting no call.
Yeah, I'll do it. There's okay. It's a quick
Thursday.
Call.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome, guys.
Thanks.
Let's go make
Merry
some money.
Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas.
Thanks, Jared. Thanks, everyone. Merry Christmas.